Good morning. I've been sick, but I've been a little, feeling a little, I don't know, almost frustrated is not the right word, but it's close. With replying to comments, it doesn't seem like I could do a very good job, and it also seems like almost every single comment I could make a video about. So I thought we'd have coffee. Good morning. It's crazy early. Oh, and read some comments. Actually, there was one in particular I wanted to read. I think I'll have to work my way that way. But we'll start with a question for men from Laura Layla. Hi, Laura Layla. You got crazy response from that. And seriously, the reclusive gamer said, "Ha, Baldy." Um, I was talking about hair with a friend of mine recently. He's got crazy curly, this mane of hair that has a life of its own, and he loves it. And I used to have like really long hair, a wide variety of long hair. I dyed it. I never curled it, which now in retrospect I'm like, why didn't I try that? That would have been fun. Um, but once it started getting long enough that like hair would come and into my mouth when I'm eating, I thought I'd try going bald. And when the rain, reclusive gamer, hits your bare noggin, it's so nice. I also like it when you get kind of like bristles up here and like you want to sleep in and you kind of grab the blankets and the fabric kind of adheres to the top of your head. Um, I think that's fun. Oh. Oh, Immolatius. His comment says, regarding the woman, the high diving woman, he says, can't talk, time to paddle in, grab your grease pen, paddle back out, and get her number. Um, I think that um, you could not feel confidence, all sorts of different things. You could feel unconfident, you could feel afraid at things, but sometimes um, that information you're getting is just, it's kind of natural. I did a lot of downhill mountain biking, and I'm pretty sure I felt afraid every single time I started downhill. I mean, the possibilities are endless, really, and from astounding joy to crushing impact. Um, and so, like when you see that that beautiful woman dives in the water, it really just is as easy as walking up and saying, "That was an awesome dive." I was thinking about trying something a little bit lower down. Do you have any advice? And she might say, "Yeah, go feet first and walk on." Um, but she might, stop and talk to you. But feelings of fear, sometimes they're very important. Um, but also you have to balance it out with what you're actually doing. Are you base jumping or are you going to talk to a beautiful woman swimming in a pool? Oh, Fu was astounded that I surfed half board, short board, um, and I wouldn't call myself a surfer, though. I suppose at one point in time, Fu, I got I crashed in the surf, and I'd I'd heard about that, like these kind of rules of thumb, and one of them was if you get disoriented underwater, watch which direction the bubbles flow. And I always thought to myself, wouldn't you know which way is up? But I got rolled in the surf, and it spun me just intensely. It even kind of like, I don't know, like I felt like wrapped up in a ball, and I wasn't touching the ground, completely disoriented, and I stopped moving. And right as I got a sense of which direction was up, it started rolling me back the opposite direction. And I went as long as I could hold my breath, um, and I just kind of tried to explode out of it. I was still accelerating, and I was in about a foot of water. I don't know how I wasn't touching the ground, or maybe I was touching it, I didn't feel it. But I thought I was going to drown. I actually opened my mouth when it was still covered with water, right as I burst out of the ocean. It deeply frightened me. I took the rest of the day off. Oh, Canadian atheist, thanks for correcting me on that. Venus on the clamshell, not Aphrodite. I've thought it's Aphrodite my entire life. Um, I wonder why I thought that. But that's like here I am. I just turned 43. I've been wrong about that my whole life. I'm strangely okay with it. Oh, FloresWazza says I should have my own TV show, and I said, well, I've got my own computer show, and he says that probably suits me better, and it does. 'Cause, I mean, I put out a lot of videos. They're moments of my day, and typically they're moments of my day when I'm feeling good and feel like sharing. If I had to sit down at 4 o'clock every day and talk to you, I'm not sure what it would be like. Probably be a more accurate portrayal of my personality. But someone actually said that about my computer show. Though they said it's changed a whole lot. Like it used to be a lot of nature stuff, and now it's a lot of my talking. And I thought that at first my nature stuff was about. I hardly had any time away from work. I was working continuously. Um, and so if I did get a chance to go out hiking in the woods, I filmed it. And then I would spend the next week or more um, occasionally revisiting that video and reminding myself of why I was doing it and what I get to do on my weekends. So it's almost like a life buoy, a life raft to hold on to. Um, and now I start feeling more along the lines of I want to say what's on my mind because I want to hear it later. I want to hear what I'm thinking. Because sometimes I look back into my past and I think of the things I've done and said. And like Girly Voice, you were talking about do we really know ourselves? And I kind of wonder how well I know myself. I wonder about how much my memories are colored by emotion. Because sometimes I remember something and I kind of shudder at the memory of it, like, oh, that was kind of embarrassing. But then I think back on it and I'm like, but I don't know that I felt embarrassed then. Embarrassment might have been a paintbrush that I colored that memory with later. Um, so I thought sharing my thoughts and whatnot now, I would have a more accurate portrayal of my past. Um, so I wouldn't try to rewrite my own past, rewrite my history. Uh, Borg Duck, I'm on a new video, talking with a girly voice. And Borg Duck, you said that you were thinking about changing your mode because you're feeling and acting lousy, really lousy. You said. Um, that's cool that you're aware of it. um, so many people aren't, because I think that it's sometimes it could get like a sickness. Like you got sick, you're sick now, and that sickness is making you act a certain way. And just like sometimes you have to stay home from work, sometimes when you're feeling this kind of sickness, like you're acting lousy, seems to me you have to take time off from acting. Um, like I sometimes I tell myself, just do the basics, keep your mouth shut, and sometimes that means actually when somebody does something, ordinarily I deal with it. I'm like, hey, whoa, whoa, but I'm thinking, no, I'm on a time off. I'm on a time out almost. Um, I'll deal with this later. And then when I calm down and kind of find my center again and realize what kind of person I want to be on a day-to-day basis, as classy as I can. A lot of times I look back to that moment. I'm like, do I need to go talk to that person about that? And I think, nah, it's no big deal. Sometimes you got to forgive yourself. Sometimes you got to forgive others. But most importantly, you got to keep your eye on the prize and what your center is, what kind of person you want to be. And you don't take your eyes off that. And if sometimes you do, you try to get back to your center again. But I like you, Borg Duck. I wish you'd do more videos. I like that when you went out into the forest around that strange stone tower. That was cool. It was kind of spooky. Oh, Foo, you said that some hard times. You left a couple comments about some tenseness going on in your life. I'm sorry to hear that. Um, that's part of my hermit-like behavior. Is sometimes I find just the best way to keep my balance is to hermit up. I'm so much happier. Life's so much easier when it's just about dog walks and work and Irma and hobbies and occasionally visiting and communicating with people. Um, yeah, I think almost that feeling that you want to do it more is almost like something that you cherish rather than indulge in for me. Um, so that when I do see somebody, it feels like a big deal to me, and then I go back to my hermitage. Oh, Gedge Tips, you always leave the best comments. I wish you'd do more videos. I think you've had a really interesting life. Pulse with Life knows where that Ikea field is. I like that field. It's I used to go out there a lot before there was a big mall out there. It was just fields. It was foxes and or maybe coyotes. It seems to me I saw a fox there once. It was a long time ago. But deer, things like that. I saw deer out there. But now it's Ikea and shops, tons of shops. That's the way it goes. Girly voice, you called me early pants. That's funny. Non-thinker. You said it's sure horrible to be alone and angry, a never-ending cycle of despair. It's it does kind of reinforce. I mean, that's why it was kind of like a sickness. Like if you don't search for a cure, how long will that sickness last? Um, and I think the cure is breaking that cycle. Like if you're feeling terrible and alone, the very last thing you want to do is something festive, and so I would try to write something to do festive down. Um, I went to a show. I went to a little mini concert, and I didn't feel like it, but it didn't cost much, and it was convenient, and the joy of the people around me was infectious. And I didn't actually leave joyful, but I almost left neutral. I didn't feel that kind of blackness surrounding me. Um, I felt like it'd been pulled away from me, and then joy didn't immediately appear because I suppose my neutral setting, my average Earl, isn't joyful really, just kind of calm. And so it was up to me for the next stage to then add something fun and add some joy to my life. So to break the cycle. Oh, here's the comment I wanted to get to. So we'll read this and then stop. It's from LZ Josie, which is the apathist from the Shadows of Justice. And he says, I reckon maybe we think negative thoughts to ourselves and about ourselves as a form of criticism. I believe that if we're too patient with ourselves, we'll never take the time to criticize ourselves. And without criticism, we can never improve on certain aspects. Let's be honest, a lot of people don't care about how you improve on yourself or things about you. So if not others, then why not be the one who criticizes you? I'll tell you why not. First of all, criticism is one of the most common things I find throughout the day. Some people are so casual with it, like I don't even think they register it as criticism. I remember one guy was criticizing kind of just like, the things that you normally have to, I almost want to call it complaining, except he was complaining to me as if I was responsible. Sometimes like when people are at the airport and they're chewing out the person taking the tickets. The person taking the tickets just taking the tickets. They have nothing to do with the airport. They didn't design the system. They didn't purchase the carpet. They didn't decide how many employees were going to be on that day. And then complaining to them, this person told me, he's like, well, Well, now I've registered it and it could be passed on. And I'm like, oh, I'm not passing this on anywhere. Why did you think that I was the appropriate person to talk to about that? You really need to go find a manager or call a number, or I could give you something to write out, a comment card. But, barking at me all this time has done nothing but, kind of wreck the end of my day. Um, I mean, that's my point. Is like criticism. It's like it's everywhere. So it strikes me as having little to no value. Um, though, I mean, you might be trying to use a more exact word of critiquing. Um, but here's the thing. It's like if kind encouragement, if thoughtful study was the most common thing you found, if strangers walked up to you, apathist, and said, I've been thinking, and I've observed you doing these different things, and I think I know a way that things could be improved and benefit you greatly if these few changes would be made, and I'd like to help you with those, that kind of thing. I think that is what's left up to you. People don't want to take the time to think about what's going on for you, the apathist. How could you have less apathy and more empathy? The 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 encouragement of improvement, the acceptance of any kind of lacking, knowing yourself, and getting to know somebody. Um, so I always think that's easier to think of as directing towards someone else. If you really want to learn about somebody, it's like those. I'll borrow a phrase from Steinbeck. It's like those really delicate sea creatures that if you tried to scoop up out of the water, you just end up tearing their delicate flesh. And so you have to lay down a collecting tool and let them slowly and gently and carefully and safely crawl onto the tool. So patience and understanding of its nature is what allows you to have full understanding about it. And I think that needs to be the way you look at yourself. I think that if you're talking about, like, how are you going to, what did you say here? If we're too patient with ourselves, I think that maybe you mean like complacent, not try to institute change. I think you could be kind and patient and supportive and really be goal-oriented. Really list a goal, list the steps, and carefully, patiently work at them. Kind of like, the sailors. I was just reading a book, Patrick O'Brien, and this boat was making, the Sophie was making a fantastic a voyage, really, really fast, and then they had to avoid a ship, and then the wind changed, and then there was a storm, and they still made it to their destination. It just took longer, but yeah, at all points in time they were working as fast and as hard as they could, but with the understanding of there's only so much you could do to affect your surroundings. Sometimes you just have to deal with them, and getting angry, that there was a storm or that the wind died away isn't going to bring the wind back. All it means is you immediately think, what can I do better now? And sometimes that's getting out the oars and rowing. So, yeah. So I wouldn't want you to be the one to criticize you. I guess I'd be the one that would want you to critique you, figure out what you want, and then carefully and kindly and intelligently moving towards your goals. And where apathy comes in is understanding what's not important and what doesn't matter and what's going to hinder you. Kind of like pruning back a tomato plant. They function so much better when all the unnecessary growth is trimmed back on them. Like all their energy is focused up until a few areas, and that also makes it easier to get the little bugs, the little parasites off them with your fingers very carefully, so you don't bruise the leaves or rip any of the budding. Yeah, kind, careful, and pruning. Um, cutting stuff back, cutting things out sounds kind of harsh, but maybe that's where the harshness comes in, is making an intelligent decision of what's necessary and what's unnecessary, what you need to have empathy for and what you need to have apathy for. All right. Thanks for joining me for coffee, and thanks for all your comments, and I'll see you in the tubes.